So a lot of people are hitting the chat and pressing F, but I just got a weird notification saying that we couldn't live stream.
Really?
Yeah, that's freaky.
We couldn't.
We couldn't. And
but
then
we're
I had
live
to
now, right?
Yeah, we should be live now.
We are live. What up,
Everybody
everybody?
presses F because they're like, you're not here literally at the moment 8 o'clock start.
Yeah.
So things are pretty crazy today, but
what else is new?
yeah, I'm Tim. That's Adam. Welcome to the show.
Hey, what up, everybody?
We do have the invisible Lydia of
I'm
White
here.
Run.
Yeah, I am here.
There she is,
Yay.
Lydia of White Run.
And
Here to hold all of my items.
what day are we on of the Coronapocalypse?
I don't know.
Locked in our basement.
4,068.
This is like our 29th show?
20th
It's like
show.
the-
28th?
30th.
30th show?
Yeah.
Oh, 30.
Yeah.
You know, like the only other news I saw was that apparently like Westworld.
Westworld.
Yeah.
Westworld.
Get
Yeah,
it right,
Westworld.
man.
Westworld is back, and people are
Wait,
like,
is it actually back already?
I
Or
guess.
is it
I don't know. I saw it in the
approaching
news.
Its return.
like all of a sudden people didn't care about coronavirus for a bleep. It was like one bit of static in the grid, and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
whoa,
going
Westworld's
on?
back.
It is a good show that just
But I-
started diving into
Yeah, the second
a
season just
confusing
lost it.
pit of
Yeah.
AI and.
But I do
don't
have
know.
I do have an important update today.
Oh man.
Our cat Bucko went into my room and decided to knock the iron
Who?
off the ironing board and then go to sleep
Boku.
because the iron was in the way. So he knocked it off, and we heard this bang. And we're like, "What happened?" And we get up there, and he's just laying in the spot, looking at us like a smug.
Sharpening his
prick.
claws like, oh,
He's like, "Is there a problem?"
something the
Is there a
matter?
problem, bro?
Oh man, quarantine life. So anyway, the big story is that this I guess it's a feminist wrote a story from the Atlantic.
Ooh.
The coronavirus is a disaster for feminism,
Ooh.
and it's not the first time we've seen stories like this, where feminists, when there's a disaster or something related to conflict, crisis, when all of a sudden feminists change their tune.
Yeah.
Not completely. It's not like they're saying no equality, but all of a sudden they're challenging the true notion of equality because they don't want equal responsibility. And I'm not saying all feminists. You got to make sure that's clear because there's obviously going to be a bunch of feminists. You know, Christina Hoff Sommers is the factual feminist. She's, what is she, second wave? Third?
Yeah,
Second wave?
she's based. So is Camille Paglia.
Yeah, so these are feminists who believe in real equality.
Okay.
And then you have, what are we on, fourth wave now?
Yeah.
Is that intersectionality? I don't even know anymore. There's a big number. It's like fourth edition.
Yeah.
So like we're on the fourth push out of feminism. It's very different.
It
not the
really
same.
is different. It's not the same.
But these people
Yeah.
are the hardcore like equalists. Everything must be the same no matter what. And their tunes change the moment things start falling apart. So let's do this.
Okay.
If you're just tuning in, hit up the super chat if you want us to read your comments. But I will admit, as the viewership grows, we will have to start speeding through and prioritizing the super chats. And then we just start, we typically go for the ones that are in bigger amounts.
But we really do try to hit them all.
We do.
so
And
we'll
periodically,
try.
Adam will try and grab from the regular chat as well. But also make sure to join. If you haven't already, you want to support the show, click the join button down below or go to youtube.com/timcastirl/join to support the show, subscribe, notifications, all that good stuff. Let's start talking about this. The coronavirus is a disaster for feminism. Pandemics affect men and women differently. Like, I gotta be honest, I don't really care about her opinion. I'm not sure if I want to actually read through this, but we can just go through the gist of what she's saying. And it's basically that, you want to give us the gist? Like, she's saying that because women do the housework and our society has relied on it.
So basically what she's saying is that governments get a lot out of women because women do stuff like take care of old people and families. So, the things that women are like custom built to do, the government is taking advantage of women.
Like child rearing?
Right, by allowing them to do that, especially in times of national stress like this.
Now, here's the interesting thing. There may be many feminists or progressives who would say women are designed to do. It's like women actually can feed babies.
Yeah, I got
men-
wide hips that are said differently.
Men technically can. This is true. That apparently, like, dudes have the ability to make milk, just not really going to happen. You know what I mean? So look, I'm a fairly progressive individual myself, but I think what we're seeing a lot of today is faux progressivism and faux feminism.
Yeah.
Where it's just a buzzword. I think these people have found a path to power, and it's through our goodwill. And so they pretend to be all of these things about liberty and equality, and they exploit the system for their authoritarian agenda, which is revealed when trouble is afoot.
Makes sense.
So here's what basically happens. Look, we are not a perfectly egalitarian society where men and women are at equal footing. Like, men are still predominantly CEOs, and there's biological reasons for it. All of a sudden, we're faced now with a global pandemic, the coronavirus.
Right.
And this does not care about what you think. it will come for you. You will get sick and you'll be put in the hospital. So we have a story here. Let me show you this from the New York Times. Younger adults make up a big portion of coronavirus hospitalizations.
Yeah, dude.
Data showed nearly 40% of patients sick enough to be hospitalized were aged 20 to 54, but the risk of dying was significantly higher in older people. There's a couple things you got to consider there. What they're basically saying is young people respond better to ventilation. What they're also saying is that because of that, we are keeping the mortality rate for young people low through hospitalization, which is why that flatten the curve stuff is so important.
Right.
Okay. So I don't want to make this this big thing on coronavirus necessarily. It's about feminism. What ends up happening in any big disaster is that all of a sudden notions of civil rights and civil liberties get suspended, period. Trump just enacted the Defense Production Act. He can now literally just press the button and change the economy. He can literally go to Elon Musk and say, make ventilators.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of these companies are naturally saying, you got it, boss. Like, because we all know we got to pitch in for the war effort. We got a serious pandemic around the globe.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, reality takes foot. So I'll put it this way. The coronavirus is a bit different. I mean, it's not a one-for-one comparison to, say, war or something. But no sane person, like, if imagine there's a guy and his wife, and they're in a house together. And then all of a sudden, they hear, like, someone break in. Who gets up?
It's always the dude.
Why would it be the woman?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying the woman
Sure.
can't.
I would get up.
But the woman could if she wanted to.
The
I would
woman-
say stay here. Let me go check this out.
Yeah. At 2 a.m., the woman gets up with a baby. The man gets up for the robbers. Like,
But there's a really simple reason outside of ideology. Like, you wouldn't get up to go check on the robber because you're like, I'm a man.
Right.
It's because typically the men are taller and have more fast twitch muscles.
right.
More bone density. That's all
Yep.
that matters. If you were in a relationship and the dude was a tiny little dude and the woman was like 6'3" and super ripped, I'm sure she would get up and be like, wait here.
Yeah.
But most men, it's so I think it was maybe one of the Weinsteins who said this, like that if you want to see the true, biological diversity or difference between men and women, just tell everyone in a room to line up tallest to shortest. And what will you see? Most of the men on one side, most of the men on the other side, and a little mix in between. That ratio by itself means that, dude, you can be the biggest feminist in the world, but when the banditos come knocking, it's typically going to be the guy who gets up. So here's the thing. Here's the point about like this coronavirus stuff. Again, a pandemic is really different compared to, say, like war. But
Or robbers coming into your house.
or robbers coming to your house.
Right.
But crisis doesn't care about your equality. So all of this equality exists because we've secured a big bubble. We live in this secure state where we've got military bases all over the world. Nobody messes with us.
Right.
Sometimes they do. We've been through some stuff. But for the most part, you then have good times, I guess. What do we have to worry about, man?
Yeah.
Poor people in this country have air conditioning. Isn't that crazy? So it's really interesting to me that we ended up in this world with a ridiculously high stock market, low unemployment. Everything was just getting better and better, and it seemed like it was already great. Have you ever seen that Louis C.K. bit where he talks about how everyone's always complaining, but everything's better than it's ever been?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, that's a good one.
You get all these lefties who complain about how bad everything is when it's literally never been better.
Right.
Did you know that you have better dental care than Rockefeller did when he had the biggest monopoly on the planet?
No, I didn't.
Richest guy on the planet. Yeah, because it was 1900 something.
Oh, yeah.
So now you've got a microwave. You couldn't make a can of beans that fast. You had to hire somebody to do it.
Yep.
Now, he could hire 10 people.
You probably did.
Yeah,
but
a lot of people to make his beans for him. So basically what ends up happening is, I think when you look at another good example of this, and then I actually want to jump to another really good example of how feminism doesn't work in a crisis. But you have these Ilhan Omar, progressive, praising Donald Trump. She said she was in unison with the president. All of a sudden, these people who have nothing but disdain for the president flip and now start supporting him. Trump just announced his plan to close the southern border to migration. Where's all the naysayers?
Yeah.
Not in a crisis.
Yeah.
Not in a crisis. They're like, whatever you say, buddy, you're the boss.
Survival.
All of a sudden, these people who before were saying like, I should be in charge are now scared saying, please protect me. And this is true of guys too. They're like, Trump, you do it. Joe Scarborough, for instance, MSNBC. We got to support the president. So the coronavirus will be interesting. Right now, we've got a bunch of people staying home. And now more than ever, people have to take care of each other. So that's what the point she's, kind of making. Let me just read this. She says, enough already. When people try to be cheerful about social distancing and working from home, noting that William Shakespeare and Isaac Newton did some of their best work while England was ravaged by the plague, there is an obvious response. Neither of them had child care responsibilities. Shakespeare spent most of his career in London, where the theaters were, while his family lived in the Stratford-upon-Avon. During the plague of 1606, the playwright was lucky to be spared from the epidemic. His landlady died at the height of the outbreak, and his wife and 2 adult daughters stayed safely in the Warwickshire countryside. Newton, meanwhile, never married or had children. He saw out the Great Plague of 1665-1666 on his family's estate in the east of England, and spent most of his adult life as a fellow at Cambridge University, where his meals and housekeeping were provided by the college. For those with caring responsibilities, an infectious disease outbreak is unlikely to give them time to write King Lear or develop a theory of optics. A pandemic magnifies all existing inequalities. I mean, she agrees with me, it sounds like.
It's true, yeah.
Even as politicians insist, this is not the time to talk about anything other than the immediate crisis. Working from home in a white-collar job is easier. Employees with salaries and benefits will be better protected. Self-isolation is less taxing in a spacious house than a cramped apartment. But one of the most striking effects of the coronavirus will be to send many couples back to the 1950s. Across the world, women's independence will be a silent victim of the pandemic. Now we can see, in my opinion, the ego of feminism. And I'm going to give you the best example. Y'all ready for this?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm a feminist, and I'm against the new draft proposal.
Ooh,
and it's not for the reason you think. It seems like every year, one of these politicians says, it's about time we drafted women. And now that women are eligible for combat, it's about time we drafted women for combat. Mm-hmm. And then what do you end up seeing?
Whoa. I didn't sign up for that kind of feminism.
Not that
Exactly.
kind.
I
That sounds
actually
hard.
read that tweet.
Yeah, let me show. Let me pull it
tweet.
up. I got some. Check this out.
We got it. Oh,
So let me start by saying I don't know if these tweets are real. Okay, this is just an image that pops up on Google, and here's one that says, "I don't want equality. No, I suddenly don't want equality. The Senate approved a bill to require women to register for the draft. The draft should be outlawed. I don't want equal rights like this." I'm willing to bet some of these are fake.
Yeah.
Like
sure,
you know, you'll get some trolls.
Right.
But the point is, we have an article written by, for the Odyssey Online where it basically says, what you pull this up, Adam. What's the gist of it? It's like,
Well, she's saying that feminism, here it is, feminism for me, which I admit may not share everyone who shares this label, is all about choice. Women should be given the choice to do what they want to do with their lives. So, but I guess men shouldn't if it is the draft, because the draft is you're chosen
mandatory
to go fight. You have no choice, or we're going to put you in jail.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So we don't have a choice as men.
But this is the funny thing.
How is that evil? Or
This
even?
is this right here. Look at this. This is the narcissism of feminism. That it's going to send many couples back to the 50s, and women's independence will be a silent victim of the pandemic. You know, man.
I don't understand. We're all home. Men and women are stuck at home right now. So
No. Hold on.
How does that make any sense?
It's
complicated.
It's worse than that. Right.
Sorry.
Yes, everyone's independent. But like 80% of the homeless are men.
I didn't know that number,
But you will end up seeing these ads they play where it's like,
One
in 5 homeless people are women. We must end women's homelessness. And it's like, you mean to tell me that 80% of the homeless are dudes? Like,
Yeah.
Isn't that the bigger problem?
Yeah.
It's interesting because during the whole Black Lives Matter, All Lives Matter like conflict, there was this comic that shows a house burning that says Black Lives Matter. There's a house burning, and then there's a house with a little bit of fire catching on it. And there's a white guy holding the hose, spraying his house that's only burning a little bit.
Yeah.
And he says, but all lives matter. And the point they were making was like,
yeah.
shouldn't we pay attention to the bigger fire? Well, if that were true, they'd be focused on male homelessness. You can see this from her perspective. She's like, you mean I'm not going to be able to go and do whatever I want? Think about the draft. So women get to stay home while men literally go die.
Right.
But her thing is like, we're not going to be independent anymore.
It's not about equality. It's about we getting a choice to do what we do with our lives. And it's like, but that's not what the draft is. The draft is not
There's
getting
no
a choice. You have to go fight.
It's not just
no
that. It's
questions
like
asked.
Right.
the issue is that a lot of the mentality around modern feminism is that it only affects me. Like they don't stop to think for 2 seconds that men are affected in ways too.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
But then when it comes to men's issues, they immediately pull out the same card where it's like, men are being forced to hide their emotions and stuff like that. And then they call anything else toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
So it's always about their perspective, instilling their,
Dude.
their way of life.
That is such a dirty trick because women want men to be like them. So when men act like men, that's toxic masculinity.
Right.
they want them to act like women. Like, what is the point? Why would you even bother having more than one gender?
It's fake.
Thank you.
I don't
It is
think it's
fake.
real.
It really is.
I think they're just saying what they think they need to say to fit in.
No, I think there is some truth in that.
In what?
That women want men to be like women.
But why? They're not attracted to it.
They're really not. I don't get it.
I don't get it either, but I think there is some truth in it, though.
They want.
It's just like
I don't know if they just want
men
control or
are
what.
different. Men act different. You know, it's not ADHD. The kid has a lot of energy because he's a guy, and we need to blow off steam and fight and wrestle, and that's what I did as a kid.
Why?
And I turned, you know.
Well, so you know, like I can imagine like a college party,
Mm-hmm.
and the dudes are like drinking, and then one dude will punch his friend in the arm, like
Yeah.
joking, and they'll all laugh, and then the other friend will give a friend a noogie or something like that.
Right.
Or they'll literally wrestle fight. Like I had friends growing up where we actually fought for fun. Like we'd be at a party,
exactly.
and we'd be like, yo, you know, like I don't know, you get drunk, and then we'd playfully fight, maybe get hit a little bit, not hurt too bad, and then we'd laugh and have some drinks.
Yeah.
We'd just mess around, like. You know, we would skate, we would get hurt. And so the question then is, none of the women were doing that. Like, no one told the women they couldn't punch each other, too.
Right.
What's up with that?
Yeah, I never saw any groups of friends that fought that were all girls.
That would be weird.
Did you ever see that?
Nope.
Did you
never
ever
saw
did
that.
you ever fight with your
Never
friends?
wanted to. No.
Punch your friends?
When
Get
girls
punched?
fight, they do it because they want to win, and it is not pretty.
And actually hurt them.
Yes, you need to sharpen your nails.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, it's not good.
I've been
I
in
don't recommend
maybe
it.
2 fights that were actually like fights,
real fights.
Yeah, real
Yeah.
fights.
Yeah,
you
dude.
know, and it's like I didn't want to be
Right.
in that situation.
Right.
But I've fought with all of my friends all the time.
Right.
Not like I'm mad at them, but like wrestling and
So let's
throwing them to the ground, whatever.
Let's take this line. She says, across the world, women's independence will be a silent victim of the pandemic. Well, I agree.
Well,
you know, to an extent.
funny enough, this pandemic is men are more susceptible to it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So women actually have it better.
She
Of course.
mentions that. She's like, that's not that big a deal. She just moved right on. I was like,
It
are
literally
you
says it
kidding
right
me?
here.
Yeah.
The coronavirus appears to affect women less severely, but in the past few days, the conversation about the pandemic has broadened. We are not just living through a public health crisis, but an economic one.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Sure.
But there was another article that went viral among a lot of conservative types were sharing it, where it said men more likely to, you know, face severe, issues with complications,
Right.
women most
Women
affected.
most affected, yeah.
But let's make I want to make a clear point here. She's saying women's independence will be a silent victim. So what? Men don't want to be around their kids. So when we're now facing a global pandemic, the man still has to provide for the family, and that's a good thing. Like, are you saying you don't want to be around your kids?
That's what
Because
I'm getting.
Yeah, I
I'm
don't
pretty
get-
sure there's a
I
lot
don't
of
get
dads
that,
who would
dude.
love to spend time with their kids,
Yeah.
especially to finally have a couple weeks where they have to, and now they're like, this is cool. Now I can, play ball with my kid, or
Right, we'll play in the living
or
room. It'll be
do some
really
art or
fun.
something, play music.
I don't understand this.
It's
yeah.
narcissism.
It makes me feel like she doesn't have a family that she cares about.
Maybe she
in
really
that- in
doesn't
that
like her
sense.
family.
I can
Ooh.
actually
I mean,
explain it very
I'm
easily.
assuming,
There is a certain kind of person that is attracted to high-profile media jobs, narcissists. Mm-hmm. So,
Okay.
do you think she represents the majority of women? I would say absolutely
Definitely not. Definitely not.
I'd be willing to bet there were a lot, like, divorce courts and like family courts overwhelmingly favor women.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, most that's the stereotype, whether right or wrong. That's whatever. But I'm willing to bet there are substantially, on average, more women who would say I'd rather be with my children, and more men who would rather say I'm going to go get the job done and go do some work. But that doesn't mean men don't want to be with their kids. It also doesn't mean that women don't want to be independent.
Right.
But this kind of like media feminism we see, where all of a sudden they're like, whoa, the draft. No, we don't want equality now.
It's responsibility.
It's because they're only saying these things in public to get power and access and attention. They're narcissists. They want everyone to see them and know their name.
Yep.
So when it actually comes down to a real threat, all of a sudden they're like, whoa. Like, you don't see women going around screaming, like demanding rights to, wait around in sewers to clear, blockages, or like, work as garbage persons.
Garbage persons.
They're garbage people.
Yeah, no, it's always about getting the corner office air conditioned
It's
job.
always been the garbage man to me.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, that's
Of course.
what,
Hey,
the garbage
whoa,
man.
whoa.
It's like
We're in a new era, man.
95%
Garbage persons.
I have
of garbage
never
persons
seen
are garbage
a female
men.
garbage man.
Yeah.
It's always
garbage woman.
Every place I've ever been has always been
It's
a
dudes.
guy.
Yep.
I've been all across this country. I've lived in Europe for a while.
They're in Europe. They are in Europe. I think in the
I've never
Netherlands.
seen it. I'm just saying
Yeah.
I've never seen it. And do you ever watch Parks and Rec?
A couple times.
Do you see this episode? Well, anyway, they're fighting for equality, and the garbage guys are like, you couldn't do this job. And then they were like, oh, well, we're going to prove you wrong.
Oh, and yeah.
And they basically did it, but then it was, it was clearly a show, but then they couldn't lift something.
Right.
It boiled down to them going, well, we can't lift this into the truck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they were like,
That's exactly how I picture that panning
derp,
out. Yeah.
Derp.
Yeah, man.
You know what's crazy? I think, one of the things that a lot of what really exacerbates this in youth is that like a 10-year-old kid and a 10-year-old girl aren't going to have a big disparity between their strengths and physical ability. It's there. It is. Because
Yeah.
prenatal testosterone does have a big impact.
Okay.
Which is why we saw a 12-year-old do the first ever 1080. Pretty sure it was like a 12-year-old.
he was 12? No.
I think the first ever 1080 was done by maybe it was 14.
I thought
Yes.
it was 10.
Not
Maybe.
on what, like a snowboard or
No, on a skateboard.
this recent that just happened?
No, that was a 1260.
Oh,
but I'm pretty
okay,
sure
that
that
was
was.
1260.
I think it was Mitchie Brusco, or I think it was
Let me
Mitchie.
see if
Can
I
you look it up?
Yeah,
Did
let
he
me see if I can
did he
look
do
it up real
both
fast.
or
He did first. He did a 900 and he was like
when
10.
he was younger?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then he did it.
Okay.
And then he did a fakey 1080 when he was like 12 or something ridiculous.
Is it the same guy who did the 1260 then?
I don't think so.
That
but
1260 was cool.
yeah, dude,
He
that was
began-
Cool to watch. I don't know if you
Who
guys
did
are
the first
skateboarding
1080?
fans, but
Did you look it up?
So I got this dude who did the first 1260. That
No,
is
no,
Mitchie Brusco.
Right, was the first 1080.
1080. Let me see.
The
So
first
he
10
started skating when he was 3. So
Right.
just so
Yeah.
you know. that
So
might
so
have-
listen.
of course, yeah.
There
It's not
are
surprising.
Yeah.
there are skateboarders who are male and female,
Mm-hmm.
and so here's the point I was trying to make. When you're a lot younger, you don't notice for the most part that strength disparity. But man, once you become an adult, you like seriously.
Yeah.
Can you open the pickle jar for me?
Yeah.
Or chop some wood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Big
One
time.
swing, I could chop it.
I know, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. So did you find it?
It was Tom Shar.
Tom Shar,
Yeah.
yeah.
And he was. Sorry, I accidentally
Tom
clicked
Shar.
the video.
Yeah.
Oh man, the comments are already
12.
answering it.
He was
for us.
12.
He was 12.
Boom.
12 years
Yeah.
old.
Yeah,
12 years
man.
old.
Amazing.
We like look. I got no beef. I'm not trying to disrespect anybody. I have some friends who are like top level female pro skaters. They're cool.
Yeah, there's some
But
really good.
If
female
it really
skaters out
is
there.
about like puberty, as they say, then why is it that there's no 10-year-old female doing 900s or 1080s? Because
Well,
it's more than that.
Skateboarding has predominantly been a guy sport.
No, all sports have.
Yeah.
True, but we're
You-
talking about skateboarding right now. So specifically, I taught skateboarding for a while, and I would say
Bro.
90% of the students I taught were guys.
Of course, but go
Right.
back to the 60s and there were women skateboarding.
True.
Because skateboarding wasn't that much of a developed sport as it is today.
Right.
So what made dudes actively pursue and push the boundaries and women stayed out of it? That's not the point, though. The point I'm bringing up is that when it comes to, keeping the issue back to like how conflict ends feminism, I really do think we're headed back to the 1950s. You like I've said this before, you can get mad at me all day. You can go in the comments, you can go on Twitter and scream Tim Pool, oh, he's a bigot, misogynist, you can call me whatever you want. I don't care. When the bombs start dropping, there's no more feminists. Like, okay, I'm being hyperbolic. Of course there are some. But when it comes to a global crisis where lives are going to be lost,
Right.
you're not going to see the ability.
Right. So if by chance we do go to war with China, and the government's like, we need more people, we're enabling the draft. Feminists are going to be like, go get them, boys.
Yep.
I'll stay at home. I'll do the laundry.
Your sandwich, sir.
Go
Yeah,
get them.
Exactly.
I love you.
You got
So
this.
here's the thing, right? There is a difference. Back in the day, it was women still worked in the war effort, manufacturing and stuff back home.
Mm-hmm.
You will see women in combat. It has gotten better. There is progress. There will be women doing these things.
Yeah.
But a lot of these like ego feminists that are on,
Right.
social media.
They're just there to virtue signal.
Exactly.
Yeah, man.
Look how virtuous I am.
Yeah.
So
So
whoa. But not when it comes down to it. I'm good. I'll stay over here.
So I will clarify. As we've progressed and now gotten, Civil Rights Act and better equality, you now will see top talented, driven women working in the military and in combat, and they're going to be better than a lot of guys.
Yeah.
Like, dude, if there was someone like, I was going to say his name, but I don't want to drag somebody. If you have like a short, scrawny little dude, you're going to be like, we don't want to send you. like let's actually look at Captain America.
Captain
yeah,
America,
that's
right.
They denied
exactly
him.
who I thought about.
Over and over and over again.
Right.
Denied.
So here's the thing. Back then, they wouldn't have put a woman in the military.
Right.
Today, they will. And if you take like the OG Captain America, Steve Rogers, before he got the super serum, he would not make the cut.
Right.
There are probably a lot of women who should have made the cut back then.
Yeah.
Today, that's what real equality is. The opportunity to go in, not the outcome.
Right.
These people are fake, right? So I want to make sure we differentiate between like what feminism has actually obtained and what it's really all about. But I think you're going to see it's going to be like an 80-20 rule. If this gets really bad, and it's bad already.
Yeah, it's bad.
Massive economic crash. Unemployment could reach 20%. Don't be surprised when a lot of the people you knew who were once progressives, feminists, are now like, well...
Kind of changing their mind.
Case in point, Donald Trump wants to close the southern border, and Ilhan Omar is praising him, and she says she is in unison with him.
Not about that, right?
Well, I don't know.
Oh, she just
I think
said,
I think it's fair to say she'd probably still be critical of it.
I mean, her
That's a bold
simply
statement.
saying that
Right,
is
I know.
kind of a big deal.
Yeah, it's a huge
All
deal.
of a sudden,
What?
people, you know, and I look at like the MSNBC hosts. These are not hard. These are not strong men. I'm not trying to be overly disrespectful. I'm not trying to elicit an emotional
strength
reaction.
or strength of mind.
Both.
Okay.
Like there are some guys who are physically strong,
Yeah.
willfully strong, and then there are some guys who are that kind of dumb. But these are all people who are willing to go on the front line, do what has to be done, chop the wood, build the fort, protect people. And then you have these dainty ivory tower elites from the cities. You know, the like pompous nobility with their pinkies out, drinking, going, "Oh, heavens, is there someone knocking on the door?" And that's like how I imagine like MSNBC.
Yeah, yeah.
And so you have these, you know, foofy men who grew up in perfect luxury atop their ivory tower.
Yeah.
And when the enemy army starts coming knocking, all of a sudden they're like, they spend all of their time saying, "Oh, the oafish man at the Oval Office is, oh, egad." And then all of a sudden, a bunch of brutish dudes are banging on the door saying, "We're coming for you." "Oh, help me, Orange Man, please." That's what
Orange Man good. Orange Man
Orange
good.
Man. Yes. I've always said the Orange Man is good. I don't even know what accent that is.
I was the first one to say he was good.
You see how quickly their tunes change?
Oh, man.
So I will
yeah.
mention, I'm not trying to rag. Look, if you come out and say the right thing, I'll support you in that. It's important that they're coming out now at a time of need and saying the right thing. But I think this story, it's so obvious.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, I could have written this down on a napkin at a bar and been like, in 6 months,
This will happen.
this woman's gonna do this, and like hand it off to you, and then you'd open it up and be like, he was right.
Oh.
So predictable.
Tim was correct.
Wait until a global crisis happens, and then all of a sudden there's like, no, actually, I want to be fair. I actually think she kind of agrees with us.
Yeah.
Like, I'm saying the
Okay.
same thing. Like, this view of feminism is under threat. I think she's just approaching it from, I guess I'll call it biased.
Okay.
Like, I'm a dude, right? So I'm biased a little bit. Like, I'm going to be like, if you start ragging on dudes, I'm going to be like, whoa.
Yeah.
So, like, when
Yeah.
people say, like, all men do this, I'll be like, hey, chill out.
Yeah, I can't stand that phrase.
But I-
all men.
Yes,
all
men.
women.
Yeah.
All anything.
All anybody.
Anything.
Seriously.
All of this race.
No, you're
all
wrong.
Americans.
But
Nobody's
can you,
a monolith.
but here's the question.
I instantly just think less of the person's opinion.
So
basically.
reductive.
But here's the question. Can you empathize? So, like, Lydia, she is
in
a female.
some cases, yes.
I can empathize if she explains something to me.
Oh, yeah.
And try and understand her position,
Sure.
even though I am not a woman.
I mean, I try to do that always.
Yeah, of course.
Right,
You know, and
Right.
I mean, people call me out for it, but I don't care. I part of being a human is learning the other side of things and, you know, gaining compassion, emotional intelligence. We talked about it, you know, a month
and
ago.
guess what? We even do it for animals.
Yeah, we
That's
do.
why we have laws protecting animals
That
from
is what
being
makes
like
us human.
If you
Yep.
if you take a chicken, you know this. If you take a chicken and you like beat it to death, you can go to jail
Yeah, you sure can.
for abusing the animal.
That's a felony now. Isn't that what Trump did?
Was it?
I
Yeah.
mean,
Even
they-
chickens?
Yeah. I don't know about chickens.
I
Well, so-
mean,
But yeah.
oh my gosh, I have way too much information that just wanted to come out. I'm not. We can just
Overload.
let's just move
Here's,
forward.
no, here's the point. Here's the point I'm making. We are
man.
empathetic. Is that the right word?
Yeah.
Empathic.
Empathetic.
Empathetic.
Yeah.
Or
Uh,
at least most people think they are.
No, I think
We
I'm talking
are.
about.
Or
I'm,
want to
I'm
be.
talking about
Yeah.
if you took all humans, you would find a majority. If you had a scale between like 1 to 10 of like empathy among humans, it would lean towards empathy. Like we are more likely to be
Yeah.
empathetic.
Altruistic. Yeah.
That's why we have laws protecting animals, even though like we kill and eat chickens.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to do it in specific ways. You really do. Like
Except all underground videos that
Yeah, the
from
factories,
chicken farms,
but-
they're booting
You
them,
need to fix
kicking them with their
those,
feet.
dude.
right,
like
no.
footballs.
Of course,
It's
of course, of course.
Right.
Right. It's
I don't
hey,
get
look, let's be honest, it's nuanced. You know, when it comes to the factory farm stuff, that's a machine churning.
Yeah, dude, that
Yeah.
ain't
And it's
right.
messed up. And that's why I like to buy organic, free range. And even that's not perfect because sometimes they just
Yeah,
lie.
I know.
But here's the point I'm making. Yeah, if you took out a chicken and started whacking it in the head, you can call the cops on you. So we do have some limits, I mean, for whatever reason. Thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. We do the show every Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., sometimes an hour or two. And we do have a full live recorded version of the show that includes a lot of comments and smaller segments you probably don't see. If you want to check that out, you can watch live at 8 p.m. Monday through Friday, or become a member of this channel. And for $5 a month, you get full access to all of the recorded podcasts. Every day after the show, we make them available in the community section of this YouTube channel. So don't forget to subscribe and stick around for more segments and more shows Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Thanks for hanging out, and we will see you all in the next show.